Hello future CA, welcome back to my channel again. So guys, I am on a mission to help you ace your CA exams. If you are preparing for the CA Inter September 26 Income Tax Law exam, this video can help you avoid some of the most commonly committed errors in Chapter 2 Residential Status. So in the previous video, we saw the commonly committed errors in Chapter 1 Basic Concepts. So as I mentioned earlier, I am making different videos for each of the chapters. So these mistakes were specifically highlighted by the ICAI faculty during the BOS fortnightly program. And this is very important. So many students know the provisions but still lose marks because they apply the wrong condition or overlook small important details. So in this video, I'll explain each of these commonly committed errors in the residential status topic so that you can make a note of these and you can avoid them in the coming exam and you can also maximize your score. So let's get started. Guys, if you are new to my channel, please subscribe for more CA exam related strategies, guidance and updates. So before discussing the mistake, let's remember that residential status is not an isolated chapter. So the question on residential status can also appear while computing total income and under various heads of income also. Therefore, a mistake in this concept can affect marks in multiple questions. So the first commonly committed error noticed was applying section 6.1a before section 6.1. So this is probably the most common mistake made by the students in the previous exam. So it was noticed that many of the students directly check the conditions of section 6.1a without first determining residential status under section 6.1. So this approach is incorrect. So always follow the following sequence. First apply section 6.1. If an individual becomes a resident under section 6.1, your analysis ends here. Only when the person is a non-resident under section 6.1, you should examine whether the section 6.1a applies. Remember this exam rule always. Section 6.1a can never be applied before section 6.1. So first you should apply section 6.1 and check if the person becomes a resident. If the person doesn't comply the conditions under section 6.1, only then you will have to go ahead and apply the conditions given under section 6.1a. Error number 2, confusing the different day requirements. So the residential status contains several day-based conditions. It has been noticed that students often mix these limits during the examination. So here a suggestion was given that instead of memorizing them mechanically, first identify which category of person is involved. Then only apply the relevant day requirements. Error number 3. Not identifying whether it's a normal case or a special case. So before calculating the number of days, ask yourself one simple question. Is this case scenario a normal case or a special case? So ICAI has specifically emphasized this point. There are special provisions for Indian citizens leaving India for employment. Indian citizens leaving India as crew members of an Indian ship. And Indian citizens or person of Indian origin visiting India. So if the question falls under any of these categories, then the applicable conditions will change. So it was noticed that many students skip this step and directly start counting the days. So this leads to incorrect answer. Then error number 4, forgetting who can claim the benefit of section 6.1a. So it has been noticed that students frequently confuse the provisions of section 6.1 and provisions of section 6.1a. So remember the distinction carefully. Under the section 6.1, certain provisions apply to Indian citizens and persons of Indian origin, whereas the provisions under section 6.1a applies only to an Indian citizen. A person of Indian origin cannot become a deemed resident under section 6.1a. So this difference is frequently tested in the examination. Error number 5, thinking visit to India matters for deemed resident. So it was noticed that students often assume that the visit to India condition is always relevant while applying the section 6.1a. It is not relevant. For determining deemed resident, whether the person has come to India on a visit is completely irrelevant. Instead, focus on the statutory condition prescribed under Section 6(1)(a). Error number 6. Ignoring the 365-day condition along with the 120-day rule. So this is one of the biggest mistakes highlighted by the ICAI faculty. When an Indian citizen or person of Indian origin visits India and the 120-day condition becomes applicable, it has been noticed that students often check only whether the individual has stayed for 120 days or more. However, this is only the part of the requirement. You must also verify whether the person has stayed in India for 365 days or more during the 4 immediately preceding previous year. So without satisfying both of the conditions, the person may still remain a non-resident. So never forget this additional 365-day requirement along with the 120-day rule. Error number 7. Confusing Indian citizen with person of Indian origin. Another common examination mistake is applying same rules to both the category. So always read the question carefully. Ask yourself, is the person an Indian citizen? Is the person a person of Indian origin or neither? So different provisions apply depending upon the category. For example, some special provision apply to Indian citizens only. Others apply to both Indian citizen and person of Indian origin. So reading these words carefully can save your valuable marks. Error number 8. Misunderstanding the 15 lakh income condition. So another important point highlighted by the ICAI relates to 15 lakh income threshold. So while determining whether the limit is exceeded, it has been noticed that students often exclude income from business controlled from India or profession set up in India. This is incorrect. So such income must also be included for calculating the 15 lakh limit. Error number 9. Assuming such income automatically becomes taxable. So this is another conceptual mistake. So just because income from business controlled in India is considered while computing the 15 lakh limit does not mean it will automatically becomes taxable. The inclusion of the income from business controlled in India is only for checking whether the threshold is crossed. So if even after considering this income, the person continues to remain a non-resident, that income may still not be taxable according to normal provisions. So you should learn to clearly distinguish between income considered for threshold computation and income actually chargeable to tax. So now a quick revision checklist. So before solving any residential status question, follow this sequence. Identify whether it's a special case or normal case. Identify whether the person is Indian citizen, person of Indian origin or neither. Always apply section 6(1) first, and then if section 6(1) is not complied with, only then apply section 6(1)(a) only if required. Use the correct day condition. Never forget the 365-day condition wherever applicable. Read carefully whether the provision applies only to Indian citizens or it also applies to person of Indian origin. Distinguish between income considered for 15 lakh threshold and income actually taxable. An important exam day tip was given by the faculty. Residential status question usually look lengthy, but most of the time mistakes happen because students start solving without identifying the correct category. So it's recommended to spend the first few seconds understanding the facts of the question. A structured approach, as mentioned earlier, will help you to avoid unnecessary mistake and it will also help you to improve your scores. So guys, these were the commonly committed errors in chapter 2 residential status as highlighted by the ICAI faculty. So avoiding these small but important mistakes can make a significant difference in your exam performance. In the next video, we'll check the commonly committed errors in chapter 3. So if you found this video helpful, please like the video and also share it with your friends appearing for the CA Inter exam. And also subscribe to the channel for more ICAI BOS summary videos, exam strategies, scoring tips and much more. Thank you for watching the video. All the best for your preparation and I will see you all in the next video.